proceed with the quorum call.
Senator Marvin A. Blyden. Senator Blyden, absent. Senator Angel L. Bocash Jr. Present. Senator Bocash Jr., present. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Here. Senator DeGraff, present. Senator Ray Fonseca. I'm here. Senator Fonseca, present. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr. I'm here. Senator Francis Jr., present. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. Senator Francis Heiliger, absent. Senator Hubert L. Frederick. Senator Frederick, present. Senator Kenneth L. Gittins. Here. Senator Gittins, present. Senator Maurice C. James. I am here. Senator James, present. Senator Franklin D. Johnson. Here. Senator Johnson, present. Senator Carla J. Joseph. Senator Joseph, present. Senator Clifford A. Joseph Sr. Here. Senator Joseph Sr., present. Senator Avery L. Lewis. Present. Senator Lewis, present. Senator Milton E. Potter.
Here.
Senator Potter, present. Senator Kurt A. Valle. Here. Present. Mr. President, 13 members present, 2 absent at quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We have a quorum, and we are therefore prepared to proceed. Madam Clerk, are there any pieces of correspondence to be read into the record at this time?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Can you please proceed by reading today's agenda, this evening's agenda, into the record?
Consideration of floor agenda. The 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands will reconvene to receive the State of the Territory address from the Honorable Albert Byan Jr., Governor of the Virgin Islands. Introduction of the Honorable Stacey E. Plaskett, Esquire, Delegate to the United States House of Representatives. Introduction of the Honorable Tregenza A. Roach, Esquire, Lieutenant Governor of the Virgin Islands. And the introduction of the Honorable Albert Byan Jr., Governor of the Virgin Islands. Mr. President, this concludes the reading of today's agenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. At this time, we will begin by welcoming our special guests. We welcome the Judicial Branch, led by the Honorable Chief Justice Reese Hodge. We welcome the Governor's Cabinet, led by Chief of Staff Kevin Williams. We also welcome the leaders of the semi-autonomous instrumentalities. While you're being seated, we definitely would like to recognize Senator Marvin Blyden. Welcome. Please mark Senator Blyden as present. Thank you. We don't recognize the Teacher of the Year for the St. Thomas St. John District, Ms. Jessica Sibley. Please stand. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Sibley. And the Teacher of the Year for the St. Croix District, Ms. Joni Phillip. Please stand. Thank you. Welcome. We're also honored to have the Lieutenant Governor's mother, Ms. Iona Roach. Please stand. Welcome, Ms. Roach. We also have some special guests. We want to welcome our visiting Taiwanese diplomatic delegation led by Mr. Charles Chi Ju Yu Chow, sorry, Director General. I apologize. Accompanied by Mr. Frank Yu, Director, Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And of course, I need to be allowed back in my house this evening. I want to welcome my wife, Ms. Paulette Van Zen Pata. Welcome. At this time, I will ask our president to stand for a special invocation by Father Anthony Abraham of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church.
Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything else shall be added unto us." Let us pray. Heavenly Father, with grateful hearts, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings that we have received. We pray that your blessings will be with our governor and all those that lead in this territory. We pray, oh God, for those that are going through difficult times. Lord, may your Holy Spirit comfort them. May your blessings be upon these islands and upon all of us who dwell. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Father Abraham. We'll now stand in recess for 5 minutes.
The governor has just arrived here at the Capitol building. The motorcades are currently behind us, and upstairs here at the Capitol building. In the background, we can hear some protesters.
Oh yeah, they've been loud and getting louder.
I've heard the protesters, and once again, I'd like to remind people: hey, you have the right to protest.
Right.
It is within your First Amendment rights. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna joke and say you have the right to be vexed.
Yeah, honestly.
Absolutely, and they are definitely exercising their
Yes.
right to protest because they are loud,
Yes. We hearing them
loud
clear as
and
day.
proud.
Okay.
Okay, session is back on the record. Before we proceed, I'd like to recognize Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. Welcome, Senator Francis Heiliger. Please record Senator Francis Heiliger as present. We will now welcome the Honorable Congresswoman Stacey E. Plaskett, escorted by Majority Leader, the Honorable Kurt A. Violet. We now welcome the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Tregenza A. Roach, escorted by Senate Secretary, the Honorable Avery L. Lewis. Last but not least, we welcome the Honorable Albert Byan Jr., Governor of the United States Virgin Islands, for his State of the Territory address, escorted by Senate Vice President, the Honorable Kenneth L. Gittens. Governor, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Please be seated. Father Anthony Abraham, Lieutenant Governor Tregenza A. Roach, Senate President Milton E. Potter and the members of the 36th Legislature, Chief Justice Reese S. Hodge and the Justices of the Supreme Court, Presiding Judge Jessica Gallivan and the Judges of the Superior Court, Delegate to Congress Stacey Plaskett, and Chief Judge Robert Malloy and Judges of the District Court, members of my cabinet and agency heads, members of my staff, State Chair of the Democratic Party, Carolyn Burke, distinguished guests, and my fellow Virgin Islanders, Sumi and Rosie, good night. Before I start, I want to give a shout out to the kitchen staff down at Olamulla, who I spent some time with today, and say a thank you to all our hardworking government workers that struggle every day through a lot of hard times. But tonight, as your governor, I stand with gratitude for the people who made this work possible, reverence for the institutions that keep our democracy strong, and an unshakable confidence that our future is bright. Throughout our 7-year journey, I've gained inspiration from the greatest leadership manual in creation. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 remind us to trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thine ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. The Most High has guided us safely through another year with an abundance of blessings and without any major disasters or emergencies. For that, we must all give pause, give thanks, and give praise for those blessings. These Virgin Islands are built on the shoulders of many great individuals. This last year, we lost several of our bricklayers of our spiritual and culture. Javille Lawson, Javon Uncle Man, Cecil, Louis B. Taylor Jr., Austin Edgy Christian, and attorney Ezart Winter Sr. I'm especially bereaved from the loss of my good friend Yvonne Galabert and the good work she'd done with the Cancer Society. We pledge to keep their legacies alive in the way we live, create, and care for one another. In that same spirit of gratitude and remembrance, join me in honoring our service members of the Virgin Islands Army and Air National Guard. Airmen and soldiers continue to demonstrate their competence and readiness. This year, the United States Armed Forces once again showed that the Virgin Islands is the ideal home away from home. And that did not happen by chance. My administration leaned in and extended a clear invitation and worked closely with our federal and military partners to make sure that their visits were relaxing and safe. And as a result, the USS Gerald R. Ford and the Iwo Jima once again made several port calls to Crown Bay and Frederiksted. Our small businesses, taxi drivers, and tour operators can attest that economically, it was a huge win. So thank you to all Virgin Islanders for showing them your hospitality on every single visit. In our commitment to service for both the active and inactive, last year we worked to expand access to care, improve the navigation of claims processing, and provide non-service connected veterans on St. Croix with no-cost airfare to medical appointments. Special thanks to Director Patrick Farrell and the Office of Veteran Affairs for continuing to champion this good work. Over the past year, I chose to venture across oceans, and yes, continents, and get connected from whence we came. This was a transformative experience that all Virgin Islanders should experience at least once in their lifetime, and I am better for it. And this relationship with our kinfolk in West Africa should be nurtured. I would like to acknowledge the members of the West Africa delegation who are in our territory this week with us. With us tonight is the CEO from the Ghana Tourism Authority, Maame Efwa Wadeyeto, and Prince Anthony Bart. As your governor, my purpose has been simple: to deliver real progress for the Virgin Islands. I've tried to do that by being honest about our challenges, keeping my word, and making sure every part of your government treats Virgin Islanders with respect. I focus on growing our revenues by strengthening our economy and tourism, attracting new investment, securing federal support, and making sure that we collect what we are owed. Together, we have used those revenues to steady our government, pay long overdue bills, shore up our retirement system, and provide the best quality of life for Virgin Islanders and our guests that we can afford. My goal has always been to take the wisdom of our elders and the vision of our team and turn it into action so that progress would outlast me or any single administration. Tonight in this chamber, I will deliver my final State of the Territory address. It is a moment to take stock, speak with candor, and I'll update you on the journey we have been on over the last 7 years. I won't be brief by any standards, but I will be clear, because the stakes are too high for anything less. When I stood before you last year, we were progressing in the throes of great change. I reminded you of where we started together: record high unemployment, a pension system on the brink, deteriorating infrastructure, and staggering unpaid obligations. I reported that change was finally taking place. Tourism was surging. Royal Caribbean was bringing more cruise passengers to St. Croix. $22.5 billion had been pledged to restore our islands, and we launched Rebuild USVI to turn long-promised schools into active projects. In every year of this administration, though, we have faced adversity that tested our resolves and the plans that we've laid. And the past year was no different. In many ways, 2025 brought some of the most difficult moments, not because we lost our way, but because the world around us shifted under our feet, even as we were trekking forward. Behind every ribbon cutting and groundbreaking, we were constantly navigating forces beyond and within our shores that threatened to slow or derail the work we were doing. Hence, I must be forthright and contextualize the challenges we faced in the last year and how we, together, chose to make them. Last year, I brought a change in leadership in Washington, D.C., from our good friend President Biden to President Trump. For a territory of our size that depends on strong federal partnership, that kind of transition is never just politics on television. It is a real-time shift in priorities, policies, and yes, relationships. Programs we had carefully aligned with federal rules and expectations suddenly required renewed defense and fresh advocacy. We had to reassess, realign, and move quickly to keep pace with the executive actions and a changing federal landscape. My team and I found ourselves back in old rooms with new decision makers, making sure the Virgin Islands were not treated as an afterthought. It is not about my personal feelings, political feelings. Our mission is simple: it's to secure the future of this territory, no matter who sits in Congress or the Oval Office. At the same time, changes in federal trade policies and new tariff pressures created a real sense of uncertainty. Trade and tariff shifts may sound abstract, but for us, they affect everything from the cost of materials and fuel to the development of our ports and our tourism economy. Every single price increase lands heavy on our shores. This meant we had to fight to make sure that the cost of national decisions did not disproportionately impact Virgin Islanders. Our people simply cannot afford it. This past year, Delegate Plaskett and I confronted federal proposal to impose steep maritime fees on Chinese-built vessels. Fees that could have disrupted our supply chain and inflated costs on everything from building supplies to groceries. But after our aggressive efforts, lobbying, and working with the Trump administration, ultimately they exempted the Virgin Islands from these increased fees. We would like to thank the delegate and our friends at Tropical who are leading this team effort that produced results for our people. We also faced uncertainty of the longest federal government shutdown in our nation history. When Washington stopped, the needs of our people did not. Families still needed food assistance, seniors still needed access to health care, and our government still had to operate whether programs had federal funding or not. And while many in this nation stood in lines at food banks, or unfortunately just went hungry, we ran the checks and fed our people. Our challenges continued as our children's futures were put at risk when federal government forces prematurely withdrew $34 million in education stabilization grants. We huddled, strategized, and responded. We secured a meeting with the United States Secretary of Education, and that swift action and firm leadership led to the reversal of the decision, allowing essential programs to proceed and vendors to be provided who provided goods and services to be paid. On top of that, our ongoing work to stabilize and transform the energy grid, particularly in St. Thomas St. John District, did not go exactly as we expected. We experienced setbacks that contributed to rotating power outages and costly surges that damaged the equipment of residents and businesses alike. I know the frustration because I simply hear it everywhere I go. I hear it from the small businesses that lose inventory, the family that's sitting in the heat, and the students that are studying by flashlight. And when the power goes out, everyone's patience goes out with it. But over the course of this administration, we have learned from our trials that transformation is never a straight line, and that some of the pain is felt even as the improvements are being made. And if that was not enough, ransomware attacks on our hospitals and health systems forced us to spend time, money, and energy protecting our people, facilities, and data. Cybersecurity upgrades are not visible, like a new wing in the hospital, but they are just as essential. These threats and attacks cost us money that it could have been directly on giving health services to our people. But perhaps the test of this term has been the conviction of 3 members of my own cabinet. From day one, the #1 tenet of my administration has been to restore trust in our government and those who lead it. This administration is committed to integrity and does not tolerate leaders who abuse their position of power at the expense of our people. Integrity is not easy, but it is essential. This government operates under one of the most demanding procurement systems in the nation, with layers of checks and balances and no checks. These policies are grounded in transparency and accountability. And even so, we still found it necessary to enhance our commitment through ethics training for our government employees and additional training for all individuals engaged in procurement. We also created and implemented a comprehensive code of conduct and are holding our employees to these rigorous standards. As your governor, I want you to hear this directly from me. I recommit to stamping out corruption wherever it appears and to protecting the trust you have placed in me and my cabinet. I'm asking you, the public, to walk with me in this work. When you see something wrong, report it. When you see something that does not look right, say so. We will investigate and act. And wherever the investigation leads, we will always cooperate and support the pursuit of justice, seeking the light to reveal the truth. Even though it's the act of the few, it reflects on all of us. And we cannot allow the failures of the few to cripple our image or derail the tremendous opportunity we have before us as Virgin Islanders. All of these challenges could have knocked us off course, but they did not. Instead, we became more agile, disciplined, and innovative in our governments. I'm reminded every single day that progress in the Virgin Islands does not happen in a vacuum. It is occurring in the throes of great change, and yet we move forward. That is why, even amid uncertainty in 2025, it became another banner year for the Virgin Islands. Not only did our economy remain strong, but we made good on promises to the people of the Virgin Islands. Because at the end of the day, that is what all of this is about, the people. Last year, when I stood before you, I made commitments. Among them, I promised that we would keep paying down old tax refunds. This past year, we paid over $47 million to individuals. To some, success once meant $140 million paid in tax refunds over the span of an entire administration. To date, the Brian Roach administration has paid $500 million in tax refund. That is progress. It's progress that is rooted in the belief that if we can't refund to our people what is owed, we are systematically impoverishing our own. And I want to thank Commissioner McCurdy and the team at Department of Finance and Director Joe Lee and the team at Bureau of Internal Revenue for carrying out the heavy lift. The illustrious and esteemed Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach. He has done an excellent job collecting the revenues that power our government. Now think about this. Over the term of our administration, his office alone has collected almost $1 billion. You see, we are modernizing how residents access core services through consolidation and facility upgrades, including the purchase of the former First Bank building, Senator VLA, that will eventually become the home of our public-facing divisions. The Office of the Lieutenant Governor, through the Division of Banking and Insurance, returned over $1 million in unclaimed property and bank accounts to our residents. $1 million. The Money Transmission Revolving Fund collected over $2.3 million in 2025. We work hard with this same legislature to get the language right, and this fund will continue to give for years to come. Finally, after over a decade of planning on hard work, our street addressing initiative is on track to be completed this year. This is huge. This means GPS systems that work, not turn right by the white car next to the mango tree. It means improved emergency response and parcel delivery services for the Virgin Islands. Huge win for the people of the Virgin Islands and the Byan Roach administration. Last year when I stood here, I boldly stated, send me the bill and I will pay the retro. Senators, you delivered. And together we paid out over $21 million in retroactive payments. Thank you to Senator Noel Francis for sponsoring the bill and the other members of the 36th legislature for its passage. Probably one of the most significant accomplishments in decades was securing an increase in the rum cover over rate permanently. Administrations have been trying to do this since Ron DeLuga was a baby. With the assistance of our partners in Washington, D.C., including U.S. Senator Mike Crapo, Kevin Calwood, Terry Helenies, and our lobbyists, we secured the permanent restoration of the rum cover rate to 13.25 proof per gallon forever. This is security for our retirees for the next 30 years. Many said could not be done, but this administration do it and done. I want to thank the good Senator Avery Lewis for passing the resolution to honor Senator Crapo, who is a great friend to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now, I committed to you that the Office of Disaster Recovery, through Rebuild USVI, would move major projects from concept to contracts. We consolidated projects into bundles and set a goal of issuing 8 $1 billion packages. And in 2025, Director Adrienne Williams-Octolin and her team over-delivered. Today, more than $11.8 billion in federal recovery funds are under contract, launching construction on more than 36 complex projects. That means more than a dozen modernized schools, healthcare facility, roads, and utilities. I want you to listen to this. We went from administrations that once boasted that they had a capital budget of 10 million or 20 million annually. We are dispensing 40 million a month. For the future of public safety, we executed the territorial fire station bundle, bringing our critical facilities into one coordinated construction push, like the soon-to-be-named, can't wait for it, the Darrell Mosey George Senior Fire Station in Estate Katrina. This will give our firefighters modern bases of operation and improve response times when emergencies strike. In education, we move from design to delivery and into comprehensive rebuilding of our school system. On St. Thomas, the bundle advances the St. Thomas Administrative Center, the Lockhart, Janie Tuitt, Emmanuel Benjamin Oliver, Yvonne Milner-Bowski, and Ivana Idora Ken schools. And we have active contracts for the main campus of Charlotte Amalie High School and Bertha C. Bushelter Middle School. The St. Croix bundles is in contracting phase and includes the Alexander Henderson, Alfredo Andrews, Claudio Marco, Pearl B. Larson elementary schools. We also executed contracts for St. Croix Central High School, as well as the St. Croix Educational Complex. Together, these awards total 13 school campuses across the territories and will give our students the learning environments they deserve. In recovery, health, and senior care, we are in the pre-construction phase for a full health and human services campus at Nude Hansen. This year, Nude Hansen comes down. We are finalizing the contract for construction on the Herbert Grigg Home for the Aged. On St. John, we began pre-construction activities for Myra Keaton Smith Health Center, the Morris DeCastro Clinic, and the new Julia E. Sprouse School. For our roads and public utilities, we are executing large underground contracts. On St. Croix, the North Central bundle combines underground power, wastewater, potable water replacements, communications replacements, and unified paving into a single progressive design build contract. On St. Thomas, the East horizontal bundle delivers the same coordinated approach. The one dig approach reduces the disruption in surrounding neighborhoods and prevents the same roads from being dug up more than once. That gets on all of our nerves. We have received bids for the prudent replacement of the Richmond Power Plant in St. Croix and the Randolph-Harley Power Plant on St. Thomas. That's both power plants being replaced, even after all we have done already to them. Taken together, these 2025 awards show that ODR and the Rebuild USVI initiative have shifted the recovery from planning to execution, turning federal obligations into active contracts, jobs, and progress in every district. This past December, we kept our word and broke ground on a new Donna M. Christensen Department of Health building on St. Croix. Tonight, I want to thank Dr. Donna Christensen for all she has done for healthcare and all she has done for our administration and the people of the Virgin Islands. We are in the final stages of contracting and will soon select a contractor to rebuild the 1F Louis Hospital. This thing has gone out to bid 3 times now. We've secured all the funding, we've completed the design, and are dedicated to the staff of JFL. We're making the final preparations now to vacate that hospital and so the demolition can begin this year. That same urgency has guided us to the system that powers everything we are rebuilding. A modern hospital cannot thrive on an unstable grid. That is why in my final 4 years in office, I've dedicated a tremendous amount of time to eliminating our perpetual energy crisis. A crisis that has plagued us in fiscal management, reliability, and most importantly, costs. Now, we are determined to make WAPA a renewable energy company. Our mission is simple. It's simple in concept, but Lord, is it complex in execution. Keep it on, make it cheap. This year, we delivered large-scale solar and battery projects that are finally changing how our grid works. 2 new utility-scale solar farms at estates Petronella and Hogansburg, paired with battery storage, now deliver more than 30 megawatts. That's about 2/3 the daytime capacity on St. Croix, plus 30 megawatts of storage. That is cleaner, steadier power, and power that reduces fuel costs, so ratepayers are not held hostage by oil prices. Working with the 36th legislature, we expedited the coastal zone permits for a new solar and battery projects at Estate Fortuna here in St. Thomas, as well as Bovoni. When they are online, these solar farms will provide an additional 35 megawatts of capacity to the power needs of St. Thomas and St. John. These projects make the Virgin Islands a global leader in solar per capita. And at the same time, the Virgin Islands Energy Office expanded direct incentives for solar, battery systems, and efficient appliances, and provided public electric vehicle charging station. This means rebates on electric cars and appliances, 1% loans for residential solar systems, and free energy-saving appliances for our residents. Thank you, Director Kyle Fleming. Now, Commissioner Derek Gabriel and his team at the Department of Public Works have had an extraordinary year in both districts. Several bridges have been reconstructed on St. Croix, including East Airport Road Bridge, the Upper Love Connector Road Bridge, the Calcahoon Midland Road Bridge, and a bridge on Queen Mary Highway near Carlton. These were critical infrastructure repairs built to withstand tomorrow's flood and heavy rain events. We delivered by paving roads all over this territory. Downtown Charlotte Amalia, First Avenue, the Fort Christian parking lot, LaGrange, Peters Rest, South Shore Road, and the Airport Road. As promised, we broke ground on Mahogany Road and is now in full reconstruction going through the rainforest. As one of our many 40-year accomplishments by this administration, we finally have a dedicated turning lane at Container Port intersection on the Melvin Evans Highway. We finished the Clifton Hill adjoining roadway, and there are street lights for as far as the eye can see. If that wasn't enough, we delivered a 300-seat ferry vessel named the Spirit of 1733, the largest ferry vessel in our Vitran fleet, connecting St. Thomas and St. John. This ferry will be complemented by the St. Croix St. Thomas Ferry, which is currently in design and scheduled to carry both vehicles and passengers between the two districts. To top it off, we secured the funding for Veterans Drive Phase 2. This project has gone out to bid and will complement Veterans Drive Phase 1, providing substantial congestion relief to our residents and visitors on St. Thomas. We opened the Dale A. Gregory Transportation Center at Tiroli King Airport, improving accessibility for locals and visitors. This year, we also took a major step forward at Crown Bay, working with the 36th legislature in the Virgin Islands Port Authority. We consolidated and approved a lease for a $200 million public-private redevelopment that will modernize the upland areas and add a whole new cruise berth to St. Thomas. Thank you to my good friend, Director Dow, and the people at the Port Authority for this effort. But unfortunately, the side effect of all this success is inflation. As our economy grows, we must fight to keep the dream of home ownership within the reach for the people who are building the economy. The The VI Slice Moderate Income Home Ownership Program, which provides up to $200,000 grant, is directly investing in the American dream for Virgin Islanders. And as of the close of 2025, the program has successfully empowered 72 families to become first-time homeowners. These families not only became homeowners, but they also gained an asset that added an average of $90,000 to each of those family wealth. That is a legacy that any homeowner can be proud of. That is why this year we authorized another $2 million for the SICE program. Legislators, we must pass legislation that will make this program permanent and put our people in their own homes. It is in this very spot that I pledge our administration would execute the largest property acquisition in the history of the Virgin Islands. And we did it. We secured the purchase of over 2,400 acres at Maroon Ridge and added it to our territorial park system. This important part of our history will now be preserved forever. Thank you, Commissioner Oriol and your team. During our election year activity, it really showed Tregenza and I that people really needed low-cost entertainment and activities. Almost nightly, the campaign headquarters would be abuzz. To put it simply, there was always something going on. And last year, I promised that we would make progress on our recreational facilities and provide low-cost, healthy activities to our residents. Well, the Reynolds Jackson Sports Complex can once again host baseball games in Frederiksted. Another visible sign of progress is the reopening of the Vincent F. Mason Senior Coral Resort Park in Frederiksted. In 2025, we opened a modern, accessible pool and park where children are learning to swim and families gather. Not to be outdone, the revitalization of Ezra Fredericks Ballpark is well underway, with the completion of a 16,000 square foot skate park, a new playground, a shaded area for seating, transforming this area in Friedenhoy into a vibrant multi-use recreational hub. But we knew we couldn't stop there. We secured funding to install new lighting for the entire park. And we are working with FIFA to install a new soccer field, which should be completed this year. And no recreational facility would be complete in today's age without internet. We dedicated a lot of time and an effort to ensure that we provided free internet to those who need it. This year, we can boast that our territory-wide internet program is almost complete, with over 50,000 individual users per month. It is in every park, playground, library, beach, public housing community. This gives every resident the opportunity to participate in the global economy. Thank you to Stephen Adams at BINGN, Commissioner Roberts at Department of Sports, Parks and Recreation. Our efforts to improve public safety are no longer just plans on paper. In 2025, we added a new fireboat to our fleet, enabling us to fight fires on the water and conduct marine and search rescue. This month, we took possession of not one, not two, not three, but 7 new ambulances, replacing our aging fleet. We are expanding our capacity across all 3 islands and now training and equipping our own EMTs and paramedics. I want to thank Director Stevens for his steady leadership, and to our first responders. You are the heartbeat of our public safety. You answered every alarm. You responded to every emergency. You handled all those late calls. Tonight, on behalf of a grateful territory, we applaud your hard work and your commitment. We have also modernized our roads and our police, how we police our roads and our communities with our new e-citation system. Officers can issue traffic tickets electronically and spend more time where the public needs them most, out in our neighborhoods. And with the initial deployment of a real-time crime center, we now have a modern hub that brings together cameras, license plate readers, and data analysis to support investigation and guide patrols. This is 21st century policing in a small territory, and it's already making a difference. Kudos to Commissioner Mario Brooks and our men and women in blue of the Virgin Islands Police Department. These milestones are powerful reminders of how far we have come and how fortitude and persistence can lead to progress and opportunity for our people. You see, change is hard, but progress is even more difficult. So tonight, I want to offer a special thank you to the members of the 36th Legislature for standing with us as we navigated this past year. That partnership was not abstract. Together, we moved on critical coastal zone management permits to improve reliability of the Water and Power Authority and strengthen our energy future. Together, we secured $5 million to get horse racing moving again on St. Croix. Together, we advanced the redevelopment of Crown Bay, positioning our ports for greater tourism and commerce. And together, we worked to secure Frenchman's Reef and Bowie House as assets of the people of the Virgin Islands. These are all concrete examples of what happens when we have a legislative and executive branch working together. And contrary to the rumor mill, the legislature and I have not spent the past year at odds, at least not the whole year. We have debated, we've disagreed, we have negotiated hard, but that spirit has allowed us to pass important legislation. Even when the politics were loud and the cameras were rolling, I am proud to say that tonight, in the face of it all, we remain focused, and the promises we made were kept to the people. See, in a small community like ours, every single rumor feels like news, and every headline can sound like a foregone conclusion. Over these years, we've had our share of tough coverage and criticism, public disagreements, and that's before you even count the myriad of political distractions on Facebook and social media. And I respect the free and active press. It is essential to our democracy. But I also know that the noise can sometimes drown out the steady, unglamorous work being done on behalf of the people. Let me offer a simple thank you to the people of these islands. Your honesty keeps us grounded. Your patience keeps us humble. Your resilience points the way, and everything worth noting tonight traces back to that, our people. But tonight is more about alleged programs and progress, challenges and accomplishment. It is about how far we have come and where we intend to go next. That is why I fervently declare, plainly and without contradiction, as our record allows me to state, that the state of the territory is anchored in progress. After all we have achieved in 2025, I'm happy to share tonight that our journey continues. Tonight, I will outline plans for this year. Despite governing in the face of constant challenges, we remain resolute. Anchored in progress it's not a finish line. It is a firm mooring in moving waters. Even our greatest work leaves echoes yet to be answered. Every bright morning casts a shadow we must still light. So tonight, from a place of gratitude and resolve, we turn our eyes to the horizon of 2026 and press forward with the purpose of improving the daily life of Virgin Islanders and the guests we extend a welcome to. And let me begin with what touches every family: healthcare. In 2026, we will reopen the Charlotte Kimmelman Center. Virgin Islanders will once again be able to receive comprehensive cancer care right here at home, surrounded by family, not in a hotel room on the mainland. We are working on modernizing our entire healthcare system. We are increasing access to care, building the state-of-the-art facilities, recruiting providers with diverse specialties, growing a stronger, more expansive health workforce, implementing modern health technology systems, and ensuring functional health exchange to securely share confidential medical records. But reopening and rebuilding facilities alone are not enough. They must be supported by better policies and a dynamic organizational structure. Since the start of my administration, we have advocated for a unified healthcare hospital system. Tonight, I stand fully with the Territorial Hospital Board to establish a single hospital system. By pooling resources and negotiating together, our hospital will stretch every dollar further and deliver more consistent care from the first visit to recovery across the territory. I know you heard it all before, but in the coming weeks, you will see the action of a hospital board that is intent on unifying our system. We are also collaborating with all the governors of all the insular territories in a coordinated effort to bring telehealth and healthcare to our people. This groundbreaking initiative combines our health records. It will improve diagnoses. It will track patients' progress and make billing collections more efficient for all our hospital. It is not something any one of us can afford, but together we will make it way with all the territories. And now as health will undoubtedly find its footing, learning must also lift our children higher. We all know the age and strain of all our school campuses. I was on Olamulla today. I attended that 50 years ago. John H. Woodson Junior High, built more than 43 years ago, is an example. And this is one of our newer schools. In 2026, we will close that campus for good. And those students will walk into the new state-of-the-art Arthur A. Richards pre-K through 8 school. This new facility is awesome. It boasts a gym that doubles as shelter, a multi-purpose library, a swimming pool, and the resilient infrastructure our children deserve. This will be the first new school to open in the territory in 30 years, complementing the other 13 already under contract. Now, we have many, many competent, well-trained teachers, and they're leading this mission and showing through their work their commitment to the academic success of our students. 2 perfect examples are with us this evening. First, the District Teacher of the Year for St. Thomas and St. John is Miss Jessica Sibley, a 5th grade teacher at Janie Tuitt Elementary School. We got big up for the Savant School. Thank you. And in St. Croix, the District Teacher of the Year is Miss Joni Phillip, a 6th grade English language arts teacher at Ricardo Richards Elementary School. A national blue ribbon school at Arthur Richards. Ricardo Richards. Our amazing teachers are developing the next great minds. But a bright future also requires affordable housing. In 2026 on St. Croix, 106 newly redeveloped affordable homes will house families at David Hamilton Jackson Terrace, building on the 248 units already occupied at Walter I.M. Hodge. And on St. Thomas, pre-construction is underway for Tutu high-rise apartment designed with an on-site microgrid. And as you turn the corner to Home Depot, you can see 84 modern homes at the new estate dune rising out of the ground. Similarly, we are nearing completion of 90 homes under the Envision Tomorrow program, building on the 88 homes that are already completed. And yes, in Williams Delight, we have provided grants that allow residents to own their homes. This year, we're making another 31 available for home ownership. Thank you, Senator Maurice James, for our work on that. Roads and public works are the threads that stitch our daily lives together. In St. Croix, we have secured $28 million to reconstruct and resurface East Scenic, La Valley, and South Side roads, as well as Strand, King, and Queen streets in downtown Frederickstead. To the people of Williams Delight, after a really long FEMA review process, I am pleased to announce that we will begin paving and drainage improvements in your neighborhood this year. In the St. Thomas St. John district, we will take major road projects spanning from Julian Jackson Road in the West Estate, Nazareth in the east, including Bavoni, Bolongo, and Skyline Drive. Public Works has also secured the funding for the much anticipated Nardo Trotman Drive. Right, though? This bypass road will ease the traffic along the Weymouth Reimer Highway from Carseles to the Fort Milliner intersection. Getting home just got a little bit easier. These are steady investments that keep people and goods moving. Speaking of moving, this year we will be deploying 28 new buses to include paratransit and the ability to transport our vulnerable population. Public Works again. Meanwhile, the food and replacement of our aged and crumbling wastewater infrastructure and sewer systems across the territory. The waste management is working with our underground people to prioritize those areas where the sewage is the worst. But we must begin paying our fair share for solid waste disposal, garbage disposal. We cannot continue to expect reliable service or keep our vendors paid if we are not willing to pay what it costs. There's a simple truth in public service. Communities are measured by how they manage their waste and how they protect their people. This year, we will continue the phased camera installations across the territory, adding to the cameras that have already been put up in St. John. And for the first time in our history, the Virgin Islands Police Department will actually be using drone technology to respond to emergency situations. And while enforcement is important, a fair and accessible judiciary is paramount. Tonight, I am pleased to announce the nomination of Judge Denise M. Francois to the Supreme Court of the Virgin Islands. Once confirmed, this will be the first time in the court's history that it has a full complement of 5 justices. And I'm also pleased to announce the nomination of attorney Renee M. Andre to the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands of the St. Thomas St. John District. They will serve us well. During this administration, we have worked to protect the pastimes that make us who we are as Virgin Islanders by rebuilding and reimagining the courts, fields, and tracks where our stories are told. Central to our story is the tradition of horse racing. This past year, we hosted 6 major race days at Clinton Phipps, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in prize money, new economic activity, and a renewed sense of pride in the sport of kings. Thank you, Southland Gaming. And meanwhile, we ended our relationship with VIGL, and now the potential for horse racing will be moving forward in St. Croix. But if we are to return to horse racing in St. Croix, I really enjoy the Crucians coming to St. Thomas to race, but if we are to return to horse racing in St. Croix, it will require a little bit more than concrete and steel. Our administration is pursuing a comparable public-private partnership similar to the Clinton Phipps racetrack agreement, only bigger. And under that framework, we expect to see real investment in the rebuilding of the Randall Jock James racetrack. I look forward to submitting legislation within the next 2 weeks to bring this long-standing tradition back to life. But in drafting the legislation to support this progress, we saw the need to consolidate the entities that regulate gaming in the territory. That is why tonight I am asking the members of this august body to support legislation that merges the Virgin Islands Lottery and the Casino Control Commission once and for all. A single unified regulator means one rule book, consistent enforcement, and lower costs to the people. It also creates a stable, dedicated revenue stream to support racetrack operations, youth, sports, and cultural programs. I'm looking forward to this quick passage of that legislation. I think one of the senators has already preempted me. Now, those who would judge us merely by the heights we have achieved would do well to remember the depths from which we started. Kwame Nkrumah once said that. I understand that the human psyche will not allow one to fully appreciate the body of work while you are still toiling in the task. But I can assure you that our output has been vast and impactful, and it has changed the course of these Virgin Islands for years to come. To truly grasp that progress, though, we must look back at what we inherited and measure the territory's trajectory from whence we came. Now, we've made 7 trips around the sun, and the final is the 8th. Now, 8 is a rather profound number. It's representative of balance, harmony, prosperity, and infinite potential. Hence, permit me a moment of introspection. As one of 9 individuals elected governor of the Virgin Islands, I have a deep appreciation for the efforts of those who came before me. Each of my predecessors helped shape the Virgin Islands we know today, and in their own way made this administration successful. Tonight, I want to thank Governors DeYoung and Governor Mapp. They are very different leaders, but many of the achievements that we've had rest on the foundations that they laid. The push for renewable energy and reduced dependence on fossil fuels, early childhood education, GRS reforms, retroactive wage payments, the Diageo Rum Agreement, and initial Irma and Maria recovery efforts, major projects such as Veterans Drive, Main Street, Nardo Trotman Drive, Crown Bay, all of them moved forward during my tenure, thanks in part to the vision and the groundwork of former governors. Now, I have learned that 8 years is never enough to start and finish every initiative. I'm reminded of a story told me by my good friend, Ralph Gonsalves, former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He told me that in 2001, he asked Butch Stewart, the owner of Sandals, to build a Sandals resort in St. Vincent. Butch told him to build an airport first, and then he would build a hotel. In 2017, he completed the airport. And in 2024, not Butch, his son Adam delivered the country's first Sandals. 24 years. And tonight I have my good friend Storm Gonsalves, who's in the crowd with us. Please give him a round of applause. The son of the comrade himself. 24 years, or what would have been 6 gubernatorial terms later, they fulfilled the promise that is the anchor of St. Vincent's tourism industry. Progress don't happen overnight, nor by luck. And it does not come if you try to go at it alone or refuse to build, or refuse to build, or refuse to build on what was started before. I honor our former governors, and that is why I'm committed to ensuring that both their official portraits are completed before I leave office. Governor DeYoung's portrait will be unveiled early this quarter, and Governor's Mapp portrait, he was up there the other day taking pictures because it's already been commissioned. Now, when we started our journey to lead this territory, Tregenza and I knew that the challenges were ahead and that it would take fortitude and creativity to change course. Over the last 7 years, we rode the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, but never wavered, no matter the headwinds or the headlines. And as I delve into these thoughts, I must reflect as far back as the administration's first State of the Territory address, in which I advised that our territory was in distress. We inherited a government so strained that even meeting payroll was in doubt. The Virgin Islands government had borrowed $212 million for operations and couldn't borrow a cent more. There was no cash reserve, and we carried more than $270 million in vendor payment. Missed GRS contribution had become routine. The retirement system had 4 active lawsuits against the government. A court injunction blocked the collection of more than $40 million annually in excise taxes, and GRS was underfunded by $5 billion. That's not rhetoric. That was the reality of the day. Let's face it, when we took office, a stop sign was a rare encounter. Not even the street lights were working, and there certainly wasn't no $8 billion in any bank. We had to rebuild this territory. That night, Lieutenant Governor Roach and I pledged to secure GRS, modernize government, fix Carlton Road, expand pre-K to every school, and set a 20-year vision for the territory. We were going to cut our reliance on fossil fuels and strengthen our infrastructure. Those commitments became our guideposts in the path to restoring faith that government can still deliver. Now, some of those promises were large and structural, and others were as personal as a promise made to one young man. That night, I pledged to Nakai Theodore that we would fix Carlton Road, one of many road projects that followed. Tonight, Nakai is a big man. He here with his mother, and he's proved with us that living proof of us that we kept our word. Nakai. He was in Claudio Marco when we started. No, he in college. Thank you, Nakai. I learned along the way that progress is never instant, but it comes when we honor the commitments and stay the course. In our second year, just as we steadied our feet, I thought it was going to be, smooth sailing. A global pandemic arrived and tested every seam of our existence. The Byan Roach administration and the people of the Virgin Islands led one of the strongest, most proactive COVID-19 responses, not in the Caribbean, but in the world. When COVID infiltrated our shores, the Byan Roach administration, we were already preparing. We coordinated with our federal partners and the local partners to secure our borders, expand our hospital capacity, and provide life-saving vaccines. With the announcement of the first known case in March 2020, we acted to issue masks and social distancing guidelines. We shuttered schools and government offices and moving classrooms and workers online. We created a phased alert system that clearly guided the public through every stage of the pandemic. We launched a travel portal. Let me in, please. Requiring negative COVID tests before entry, and work closely with our cruise line to protect our border and economy. They said that over 300 people would die in the first 3 months, but over 500,000 tests were administered. More than 26,000 cases were identified, and over 70,000 of our people were vaccinated. Our hospitals never became overrun. And while we mourned 133 lives lost, we saved countless more. We were in this together. When some jurisdictions found it difficult to be neighborly, we were blessed to have the resources to fight. So when Sam the sailor needed care, we opened our arms and provided the help he needed. When the British Virgin Islands had limited access to COVID-19 vaccines, we assisted them setting up our stuff on the docks with vaccinating their population. And when every port in the Caribbean closed, the U.S. Virgin Islands welcomed the boats to our shores. Thank you, Commissioner Encarnacion, Department of Health, and our entire team. In our hardest days, it was faith that steadied us and kept us moving forward. When we hosted the first day of prayer at Government House, we opened the doors not just for ceremony, but so Muslims and Christians and Protestants and Catholics and even Rastafari could join in lifting this territory in faith, asking for wisdom and protection and strength to carry one another through. When the rest of the Caribbean was shut down, we remained open. We not only remained open, but we also allocated funds for small business grant. We awarded businesses up to $50,000. Premium pay rewarded COVID workers with over $40 million in checks. And COVID scholarships were awarded to over 900 students, totaling $1 million. But through preparation and decisiveness, our territory stood strong. Together, we turned challenges into progress and adversity into opportunity. And out of that gauntlet came purpose. Purpose. We learned that creative and decisive leadership can turn constraint into opportunity. When doors closed, we built new ones. When rules were rigid, we found lawful paths that served our people. That is the Byan Roach approach. Pragmatic, people-centered, and aimed at a broad prosperity. Our economy is stronger today than ever before. And certainly stronger than the one we inherited in 2019. And since then, we have taken a conservative and responsible approach that has driven measurable growth. Our gross domestic product has grown from $3.9 billion in 2018 to an estimated $5 billion today. That is without the presence of the refinery. That's without the refinery working. The unemployment rate dropped from 10.7 in 2018 to 3.6 today, the lowest in our history. Apart from the pandemic years, local revenues grew by an average of 8% annually, from $830 million in 2018 to over $1 billion in 2022. In fact, the growth was so strong that we took $40 million that we used to put into the general fund from the run cover over and gave it to the GRS. This sacrifice means that in the last 3 years alone, we have contributed over $120 million of what used to do roads, schools, and other repairs, and used it to secure our pension system, on top of all the other money they're getting. That is sacrifice. And nevertheless, we continue to march on and continue to grow our revenue base. Because when we took office in 2009, the government of the Virgin Islands overall debt was $2.2 billion. We proposed, managed, and balanced budgets that matched estimated revenues, resulting in a surplus. Never happened before. We implemented a disciplined line of credit to manage our cash flow, accelerate recovery where we can pay vendors more reliably. And for the first time in this government's history, we activated the Budget Stabilization Fund, commonly known as the Rainy Day Fund. That fund today has over $10 million sitting on it. Through all the challenges, and I like to say these things because they're factual and can be fact-checked. Because through all the challenges we confronted, we have actually managed to reduce the overall debt of the Virgin Islands by 25%, from $2.2 billion to $1.6 billion today. People are always talking about what the federal government could do. Our debt represents 32% of our GDP. The United States, one of the most powerful countries in the world, their debt is 120% of their GDP, 4 times what ours is. But as we finish this term, the story is simple. We took an economy that was fragile and uncertain, and through discipline, investment, and partnership, we have positioned the Virgin Islands for sustained growth and opportunity for years to come. When we leave office, we will leave more than $70 million in cash reserve and a lot less debt. That is anchored in progress. But I think one of the most important ways we began to rebuilding trust is by doing right by our public workers, our servants, public servants. Early in my term, we addressed one of the many demands of the people asked, that we repay the 8% salary cut from 2011. And altogether, we paid $45 million in that debt. And over the 7 years, we made it a priority to chip away at the mountain of old retroactive pay. From 1982, we owe this debt. We deliver more than $66 million in retro wages to current and retired government employees. This ain't in a speech, but to my people, I'm going to try to get out some this year too. I don't know how, but we're going to try. But this is the largest sustained effort to pay down that debt in the history of our Virgin Islands. We did this because we understand what these funds mean to Virgin Islands families. You know what it's like when you retire on $13,000 a year and butter gone from $1.35 to $8.99. We understand what it means to families. That is also why we found the funds to support the minimum government salary increase from $27,000 to $35,000. It's not that we don't want people to get money, we just want to make sure we got the money to pay. When this was proposed, we were the sole advocates for the private sector employees. How can the government set the minimum wage at $16.85 and leave the private sector employees at $10.25? I'd like to thank the good Senator Franklin Johnson for hearing our plea and taking the steps to correct this injustice. It is now law. We signed it into law. But at the same time, every wage agreement we negotiated with our union was structured honestly and funded in the budget so that raises were paid when promised and did not turn into tomorrow's retro. The result is that we are steadily reducing the retroactive balance that we inherited while refusing to add a single dollar of unfunded wage obligations to our people. Thank you, Chief Negotiator Josh Springett. Now, over the course of our tenure here, we have secured over $180 million in settlement funds for the people of the Virgin Islands. All of these from lawsuits initiated by our Department of Justice. Those resources are being directed into prevention and treatment, survivor support, victim services, and stronger enforcement, while also helping community organizations expand the work they do every day. It's with these same funds that this year we bought a brand new home for Nana's Baby Children Home and compliments of the 36th legislature and the people of the Virgin Islands. I want to thank Gordon Ray, the Attorney General, and all our attorneys and people that work under the Department of Justice for their tireless work on our behalf. Even before I took office, the single greatest threat to our government and our families was the GRS. It was not only a threat to the government employees, it was a threat to the economy of the Virgin Islands, because if retirees don't get their money and no insurance, it would be a disaster. The actuaries were clear that if we did nothing, the system would have run out of money 2 years ago, 2023. And retirees who had served us for decades would face the unthinkable risk of not getting a pension. I could not accept that. We could not accept that. We made it our mission to protect the dignity of our retirees and to make sure that men and women who kept this government running would not be left behind. Working with the legislature and our financial team, we did something that people said could not be done. You're going to hear that a lot. We created a real rescue plan, not another study. We restructured our rum cover bonds and used the saving to fund the retirement system. In addition, we settled 4 lawsuits against the government, some that were decades old, and reduced the processing time that it took to retire more than 90%. People couldn't retire, the government owed the retirement system money. And because of that work, the GRS have already received hundreds of millions of dollars. We continue to urge, though, that it needs reforms. It's like Social Security. You can't just fix it one time. You have to keep fixing it because the inflation keeps going up. Securing the permanent rum cover over perhaps was one of the most important victories of the administration. So when I talk about being anchored in progress, this is what I mean. We took a system that was on the verge of collapse and gave it a lifeline measured in decades. And long after we leave office, history will judge this rescue of GRS as one of the most consequential achievements, not for me, for our people. When we talked about rebuilding this economy, I knew we needed more than just a list of projects. We need a roadmap. That is why, working with the Economic Development Authority, we launched Vision 2040, built with the voices of thousands of Virgin Islanders who contributed. Vision 2040 called for substantial investment in our blue economy. But now, all these efforts are being undermined by the British Virgin Islands and the outrageous increase in maritime fees. They are friends and neighbors, but we are exploring every option, including working with our federal partners to achieve parity. We respect that the BVI needs additional revenue to pave their roads. They don't have $25 billion. They need money to build their infrastructure and move their society forward. But we too have to eat, and their policy should not and will not create barriers in these Virgin Islands that impede our economy and commerce. After years of trying to get new hotel projects in the ground, in 2025, we saw the Hotel Development Act doing exactly what it was meant to do. This past August, we opened the 126-room Hampton by Hilton on St. Thomas, the first newly built large-scale hotel in more than 30 years. Its completion is a powerful symbol that our tourism product is being rebuilt and modernized in a real and lasting way. And over these 7 years, we have taken tourism to record highs and used it as a platform to tell a bigger story about who we are as Virgin Islanders. Visitor arrivals increased from 1.6 million in 2019 to 2.5 million in 2025. Hotel occupancy rose on average from 38 to 61%. We achieved an average daily cruise ship visitor spend of $166 a day. It's the second highest in the Caribbean. And once again, our cruise business is now among the strongest in the Eastern Caribbean. We saw an exponential increase in cruise arrivals in St. Croix in a single year. From 2019 to the present, passenger arrivals have quadrupled from fewer than 60,000 to more than 241,000 tourists visiting Frederiksted Port every year. We also took over Carnival. We built a modern tourism product that showcased our culture and our people. And through our division of festivals and cultural heritage, we enhanced our carnivals and festivals. We used that platform to attract major brands like Uber Soca and to package our music, food, and culture for the region and the diaspora. We strengthened our marketing with St. Croix, a vibe like no other. And our territory-wide Naturally and Rhythm brand. We ventured into new markets with partnerships with professional sports teams like the New York Jets and sponsored international events like DC United versus Bermuda at the Bethlehem Soccer Complex. From reopening and adding flagship hotels and eco resorts to winning national recognition as an innovative, top-ranked destination, we have not only rebuilt tourism, but also repositioned it as a more diversified, resilient, and locally rooted pillar of our economy. This year at the Caribbean Awards, we were named Caribbean Cruise Destination of the Year and Experiential Destination of the Year. Thank you to Commissioner Jennifer Madarangas-King and the work of former Commissioner Joseph Buselta. At the start of this administration, far too much of our government was still on paper. Vendors had to walk contracts from desk to desk. It was hard to know where a purchase order stood, and the public had no simple way to see how their tax dollars were being spent. I made commitment to modernize those systems. Today, procurement is faster and fairer, and transparency is more than just a campaign promise. We launched GVI Buy as our first government-wide e-procurement and contract system. At the same time, we launched our Open Finance Portal and Transparency website, giving the public for the first time a clear window into revenues, budgets, payroll, and expenditures. Thank you, Commissioner Alicia Alejandro and Director Julio Raimon. No matter what they say, together we have made modernization and openness part of the daily practice of the Virgin Islands government. When we took office in 2009, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles was a symbol of everything people disliked about government. Long lines, outdated systems, too much paperwork. We committed to a different future and transformed BMV into one of our most modern, customer-centered agencies. Today, residents can renew their registration and licenses online and book appointments. People used to take the day off to go get licensed. Now you could do it as little as 15 minutes from their house, 24/7, 365. Thank you, Director Barbara McIntosh. we're making improvements along with electronics and electronic citations, and we've integrated with the courts now. And now I've approved the BMV to allow inspection-free registration for vehicles up to 10 years old. You don't got to go down no more. Our administration's successful implementation of technology has improved government services and operations and encouraged private sector growth. Today, from your phone, you could start a business, register it at the lieutenant governor, find out how much money you owe on taxes for it, submit the permits, go to get the trademarks and corporation, file and pay your taxes, all from your cell phone. That is progress. A key part of our shift from crisis to strategy was the creation of ODR. In our first year, I established ODR as a dedicated team within the Public Finance Authority, whose only mission is to manage and drive our recovery. Before ODR, federal disaster dollars were scattered across agencies and projects that move way too slowly. Today, we have one office tracking every project, every obligation, and every deadline, and coordinating directly with FEMA, HUD, and all our federal partners. We grew and secured our recovery from a potential $8 billion to an obligated $25 billion. Further, you have to remember there would be no recovery if we had not reduced the federal match. The Virgin Islands government and the people of the Virgin Islands would have to find $2.5 billion of its own to match the $25 billion that was given from the federal government. But through ODR and our work with the Biden administration, we reduced that from 10% to 2%, saving the Virgin Islands over $2 billion. They live simply. Get the funds, spend the funds, and spend it correctly. Thank you, Director Williams Octolin and the team at ODR. I wasn't going to be brief because I want to refresh your memory. Because in 2022, I signed the merger of the Fire and Service Emergency Medical Services into a single entity. Y'all remember? The ambulance have to come from Christiansted to Frederiksted. People dying while they're waiting on ambulance. Even here, 3 ambulance calls at the same time, we can't do it. We did it. The legislature, we integrated these key public safety agencies. And it's a reform that people have been working on for 25 years. Vitima, we restored and modernized our tsunami warning system. We activated emergency operations for 6 separate incidents: hurricanes, tropical storms, the COVID-19 pandemic, the Bavoni landfill fire, the lead and water crisis. Y'all remember that? And the WAPA energy crisis. Every administration faces emergencies, but no one has successfully managed as many complex events as we have. In October 2024, after 4 years of preparation, the U.S. Virgin Islands received full accreditation for its emergency management program. We are the first and only U.S. territory to receive. Thank you, Director Johnson and the team at Vitima. When we came into office in 2019, the state of healthcare in these Virgin Islands reflected years of strain and storm. On St. Croix, Juana Fluid was still operating in substandard space and temporary configurations. Let me say it plainly, you had to go outside to use the bathroom. Remember that? Schneider was aging and in need of major upgrades. Behavioral health services were fragmented. Our public health data were outdated, and we were trying to find people we lost in the storm. They went to the States and nobody had any idea where they went. Our Medicaid program faced federal caps and an unfavorable match. So even when the need was clear, we couldn't pay the match. From the beginning, we set out on a plan for healthier horizons. We pushed telehealth and technology. We stood up JFL North as an interim facility while we pursued a new permanent hospital. But perhaps the most significant policy achievement in healthcare was securing the Medicaid match permanently. For years, we struggled with the match that forced prior governors to cover 45% of the costs. This was onerous on our healthcare system, but through our persistence, we secured this match at 17% permanently. We expanded the income limits to make people more eligible under our service. Under our administration, we provided care to over 29,000 Virgin Islanders annually. Thank you, Delegate Plaskett, for your work on this. We did this along community partners who filled critical gaps. When the local dialysis center threatened to close, we worked with the legislature to secure funding and expand capacity, enabling Schneider Regional to open a vacant wing and expand dialysis service. We also supported a startup of the 13-chair Virgin Islands Healthcare Foundation Dialysis Center on St. Croix. We funded it, $2 million. We funded the Virgin Islands Diabetes Center of Excellence, which delivers tailored care and education and outreach to the uninsured and the most at risk throughout the territory. Now more Virgin Islanders receive critical care right here at home. And when we said we would stabilize and rebuild healthcare in the Virgin Islands, we meant both bricks and mortar and the policy that sustains it. Healthcare and energy have been two of our most long-standing, deeply rooted challenges, and two of the issues our people feel most deeply about. And we're committed to tackle both. In 2017, the hurricane shattered an electrical system that had to be rebuilt for the third time, completely rebuilt for the third time in 30 years. We knew that if we did not fix energy, nothing else in our recovery would stand. When we began this journey to stabilize WAPA, we knew that the darkest hour, no pun intended, would come before the dawn. We started slowly using our federal funds to purchase the Wärtsilä generators. We launched a territory-wide composite pole installation effort, replacing all wooden poles with hurricane-resistant pole. It's now 90% complete. We went out and we purchased Vital propane assets from Vital, $140 million. As a result, WAPA has been able to reduce its fuel transportation costs. We went out and we paid down the $26 million the government owed, which went as high as $100 million they owed WAPA for years. We paid it and moved the central government and hospital into a single-payer system. So today, we remain current with WAPA. We took $100 million in ARPA funds to ensure that your rates did not go up. By 2023, I had seen enough. I declared a state of emergency so we could get faster, clear roadblocks. We invested additional ARPA dollars to purchase new generation equipment. And we once again used our rainy day fund to clear more than $11 million in past due balances owed not by central government, by semi-autonomous agencies. And together, these actions did not solve every problem at WAPA, but they turned the corner from crisis management to a real path forward. WAPA has begun to make real progress. The government is paying its WAPA bills on time. The new solar facilities at Bolonga and Fortuna and St. Thomas will increase generation, reducing the likelihood of island-wide outages. That should happen by this summer. And yes, I can announce that the new Wärtsilä units are now operating on propane. When energy costs go down, everybody's costs go down and you have more money in your pocket. But like the rest of the country, we have been beaten by winds of inflation. Every single thing has gone up. Everything except your light bill. Never in our history of our territory has the rate remained the same for lower for 7 consecutive years. But that's not enough. Carl, tonight, I call on WAPA and the Public Service Commission to immediately take steps to lower the rate within the first quarter of this year so that our families can feel some relief. But it won't mean anything if our people cannot accurately get their bill. That is why in this upcoming year, WAPA will begin rolling out its new automated metering infrastructure to accurately read meters. This will cure the excessive estimating and erratic billing that has become far too common. Not only will the bill be correct, but it will be a little bit lower, leaving more for our families and discretionary incomes. But the final fix for WAPA, however, will come when we solve its financial problems. We can harden the system and modernize generation, but we must also fix the balance sheet. And WAPA is working real hard on that solution. I'm asking senators to join me in passing the reforms and tools we need to put the utility on solid financial footing. Only then we will fully deliver what our people deserve, Power that is more reliable, more resilient, and over time, way more affordable. In 2019, too many of our people measured the gap between promise and reality in every pothole, every flooded intersection, and every dark stretch of highway. Major arteries throughout the territory and streets in Christiansted and Charlotte Amalia had gone far too long without serious investment. And entire neighborhoods from Cyan Farm to Coral Bay were living with road connections and drainage that simply were not acceptable. And over the last 7 years, we have worked hard to change that picture in a systemic way. Working with our federal partners, DPW advanced priority surfing projects across the territory, including Queen Mary Highway on St. Croix, Centerline Road on St. John, and key roads on St. Thomas, with a balanced slate of projects in both districts. We rebuilt or rehabilitated signature corridors and community roads, Garden Street, Long Pat, Mountaintop, Ariel Melchior Drive, Savannah, Main Street, Mandela Miss Gun, to North Star Village on St. Thomas, on St. John, Fish Fry Road, Boulder Mountain, Francis Bay, and on St. Croix, neighborhood roads like Strawberry Hill, Wim, Estate Lorraine, Mount Pleasant, Herman Hill, Union of Mount Washington, Estate Richland, Northside, King Street, and even more. Even on Water Island, we paved 60% of the roads. I don't know how long that is. We tackled long-standing drainage problems at Coral Bay. Remember how Gallows Bay used to flood out throughout the downtown Charlotte Amalie? Lansing completed the First Avenue drainage project. It's complete now. And advanced road repairs in downtown Christiansted, where we paved the whole thing, and Frederickstead too, in phases so that our historic towns are now more beautiful and resilient. You remember in St. Thomas when all the roads were falling off the hill? Pilgrim Terrace, Clearview, Hull Bay, Bordeaux, and up Black Point. We shored up all of those things, ensuring those roads would last for decades to come. And as I look back from 2019 to tonight, the story of public work is that we move from patching problems to executing a real plan, delivering safer and smoother roads, better drainage, brighter highways, stronger bridges, and a more modern ferry and transit networks. We're not finished, but we're no longer stuck in neutral. No. When we took office, the Virgin Islands had no territorial park system. Our national parks were world class, but our local beaches and lands, all of them were at risk of being sold. I believe that some places should remain with us, the people, forever. By working with the legislature, and federal partners, we established the Virgin Islands Territorial Park System and created the Division of Territorial Parks and Protected Areas with DPNR to manage it. For the first time, the government has a dedicated team to protect our beaches, bays, forests, and keys. The system includes popular areas like Cass Key, Bavoni Key, and parts of Hassel Island on St. Thomas, Kramer's Park and Great Salt Pond on St. Croix, Oppenheimer Beach on St. John. These are locations where Virgin Islanders swim, fish, and gather. Now they're permanently designated as parks for future generations. We made the largest land conservation purchase in the history of the Virgin Islands it is now the Maroon Sanctuary Territorial Park, protecting almost 4% of the coastline on St. Croix. I believe our greatest achievement is ensuring that these lands will not be sold, but will remain in the hands of the people of the Virgin Islands forever. And long after the speeches and ribbon cuttings, families will still enjoy these parks. This is a legacy of a government that planned for the future, not just the next election. In 2019, our ports reflected years of underinvestment, and we chose to change course. On St. Thomas, we were allocated $25 million to dredge Charlotte Amalie Harbor, positioning WICO to welcome larger vessels and strengthen both tourism and cargo. I'm pleased to tell you tonight that after the second time for this going out, we do have 5 bids in, and we'll be awarding a contractor to get that started this year. We also secured the Tiger Grant funding for Crown Bay. We did it so well, we got 2 Tiger Grants. We have to get one back. And designated the Adelita Cancran campus for long overdue redevelopment. This year, we will begin demolishing that site to expand capacity and improve operations. and unlock new opportunities on the waterfront. On St. Croix, we strengthened the container port by relocating freight from Gallows Bay and creating room for smarter port operations and more space for community and tourism. We upgraded the airport departure lounge and improved key facilities through public-private partnership, helping us attract and retain more airlift to the Virgin Islands. These are not isolated projects. They are connected investments in how we move people, move goods, and build an economy that is ready for what comes next. Over the last 7 years, we have transitioned from managing crises to crafting a comprehensive housing strategy. Working hand in hand with the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, ODR, and EDA, we rolled out initiatives such as Envision, VI Slice, Own a Lot, Build a Home, to support home repair construction. We've made significant strides by completing numerous affordable and mixed income projects, adding or preserving over 643 units for seniors, families, and first-time home buyers, including 300 units for home in ownership, most of them available at Bellevue Village and Calabash Boom in St. John, also some in Loverland, creating new homeowners on the Little Island. In line with our workforce security initiative and Vision 2040, the Virgin Islands Department of Labor has moved from crisis management to strategic growth. On St. Thomas, we ended nearly 40 years of leasing and more than $9.7 million in rent payments when we purchased the Department of Labor building on Princess Garda. We also strengthened the systems at Labor, the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. This is one that's special to me because you know I was a labor commissioner. The trust fund grew to a debt of $100 million. The Great Recession, the refinery closure, and COVID created a chasm that we thought would never get fixed. For years, employers bore that cost. We acted and adopted to plan to fully retire that burdensome loan. Today, from $100 million, that debt is to $22 million now. This June, we will totally pay it off. Once again, our fund will be solvent and hiring employee will become less expensive for our business people. We consolidated government insurance and workers' compensation, collected $6.8 in employer contribution, and increased benefits. After years in the red, we have a workers' compensation system that is solvent once again. Thank you, Commissioner Malloy, and your team at the Virgin Islands Department of Labor. Education and training are the foundation of a vibrant economy and a thriving society. We have to give people, our people, access to the tools they need to compete if we are to grow as a society. Even before entering office, we set the stage. As a former senator in 32nd Legislature, Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach sponsored legislation providing free tuition at the University of the Virgin Islands for all Virgin Islands high school graduates. We further expanded that effort, and for the past 2 academic years, part-time and online students have had the opportunity to attend the UVI at no cost to them. We are the first state or territory to implement or maintain this in the country. Our priority in early education is yielding results. Test scores have been improving in our elementary schools. Pre-K classrooms are now in every single public school. We have increased graduation rates and test participation and proficiency in English language arts, mathematics, and science. Equally, we focused on ensuring Head Start remains relevant and the essential component of learning and development paradigm. We began with the renovation, in some cases, the total rebuild of 6 new Head Start learning centers. In September 2025, Cruz Bay Head Start welcomed learners. Once again, it is abuzz with young, precocious minds eager to explore the world. In 2026, we will add 4 additional Head Start. Thank you, Commissioner George and your team at the Village of the Department of Human Services. From the first day I took office, I had a simple dream. I wanted every talented young Virgin Islander to know that there's a real path to come home, serve their people, and build a world-class career right here. That dream took shape in 2021 when I unveiled the GBI Fellows Program, an internship designed to provide college graduates with training, exposure, and networking opportunities within their own government. To date, 54 college graduates and young professionals have served as GBI Fellows, placed throughout 12 departments and agencies. 62% of our fellows are still working in this Virgin Islands government. And 38% have gone to graduate school or in the private sector. Thank you, Director Cindy Richardson, for leading this effort. My commitment to growing this economy by strengthening our workforce did not begin or end with that effort. We signed union contracts, granted substantial salary increases, and ensured that the starting salary for teachers is now $52,500, not $44,000 like when we started. And the average starting salary for a nurse is $75,000. In fact, government salaries are up 25% on average, $10,000. And the average age of our employees has actually been reduced by 10 years. We're making government younger, stronger, and building a new generation of public servants who love these islands, understand our history, and have the skills to lead us into the future. When the next generation measures this era, it will see a government that finished the work that others talked about for 40 years. In one administration, we moved the land and water use plan from concept to reality, put GRS back on a path to solvency, paid long overdue retroactive wages, and secured permanent federal rum cover revenue so future leaders can plan with confidence. We made advancement to construct the first public high school in St. John and new schools across the territory, brought income tax refund close to being fully current, and opened the first new large hotel in more than 3 decades. We advanced our Bureau of Corrections and VIPD towards compliant with the consent decrees and turned WAPA away from pure fossil fuel dependence toward utility scale solar. We created the first territorial park system, restored the 8% salary cut that haunted our public service, unified fire and EMS so that our people receive improved emergency care. Taken together, these are the kinds of structural and generational changes that define a new era and set a new standard for what an administration should accomplish. But in the next 4 years, the Virgin Islands will face different challenges, different than what we inherited in 2019. Inflation and rising costs will keep testing household budgets and stretching the distance between wages and what life demands. The government's focus on construction and revenue indicates strong demand in the housing and infrastructure for years to come. By 2025, the U.S. Virgin Islands experienced an inflation rate nearly 3 times that of the mainland. 3 times. And it's only going to get worse. We are in the stages of recovery that will certainly test our capacity. Nearly $25 billion is not a talking point. It is clinics, classrooms, roads, and ports, power and public safety rebuilt to last. That opportunity requires people. Plans do not pour concrete. Funding does not wire a grid. The next 4 years will demand more skilled workers, stronger institutions, and the discipline to deliver with transparency and pride. Rebuilding is only part of the assignment. As we modernize clinics, schools, and ports, we must maintain them. It takes will to cut ribbon. It takes character to keep the lights on, the roof seal, the system service, and the standards high long after the cameras are gone. Maintenance is not glamorous, but it's the difference between progress that holds and progress that slips. The next administration will inherit real pressure. The road ahead is demanding. It's also worthy. If we meet it with skills, seriousness, and unity, what we rebuild will be more than just structures and continuity. It will be confidence, it will be capacity, it will be a future our children can stand on. And as we talk honestly, we must address the future of healthcare and infrastructure. And how do we pay for it? For 7 years, we have stretched every federal dollar, reprogrammed our budgets, and tightened our belts to stabilize this government. But if we want hospitals that truly meet modern standards and roads that are properly maintained, we cannot rely on federal support alone. At some point, we as Virgin Islanders must decide what level of service we want and what we are willing to get it, what we are willing to invest to get it. That is why I'm asking this body to consider placing a simple question before the voters at the next election. Let's call it a private citizen initiative that lets the people themselves decide whether to dedicate a small, targeted share of our own income towards priorities that touch every life in these islands. Under this initiative, people will be asked whether they support a 1% income tax dedicated solely to our hospitals to help fund the basic level of universal insurance so that no Virgin Islander is left without essential care. They would also be asked to whether they support a 1% income tax dedicated strictly to maintaining local roads for 15 years, and then it's done, with the option to support the maintenance of private roads that connect our neighborhoods and the communities. This is not a decision for one governor or for a legislature. It is a choice about our shared future that I believe it belongs in the hands of the people. If the voters approve it, those funds will be locked in for these purposes, not to grow the government for its own sake, but to guarantee that our hospitals are open, staffed, and modern. When I first asked you to trust me with this office, I was a 40-something-year-old son of these islands with a head full of black hair and goals, and a heart full of concern for the future. I did not walk into Government House alone. I walked in with the great Tigrenza Roach, the cabinet of committed public servants, and with thousands of Virgin Islanders who believe that if we faced our hardest problems head on, we could move these islands forward. Tonight, I have given you a replay, a record of how we met the storms with grit, met a pandemic with discipline, met shifting federal winds with steady advocacy, and met setbacks with the kind of creativity small islands are forced to master to survive and thrive. We did not inherit ease. We inherited long-standing challenges, and we continue to meet them head on. I stand here tonight knowing I am only one of 9 individuals elected by our people to lead this territory. I did not start this journey, and I will not finish it, because the stories of these Virgin Islands does not belong to any one governor. It belongs to our people, generation after generation, carried forward by love for home and the steady will to keep building this home. Tonight, I honor the service of these governors: Evans, King, Louis, Farrelly, Schneider, Turnbull, DeYoung, and Mapp. Each faced the challenges of their time and left lessons that shape what came next. Still, every administration is measured by what it confronts, what it chooses, and ultimately what it delivers. We are doing our work in our time, moving this territory forward. Yet the work of building a fair, safe, and prosperous Virgin Islands is never, ever going to be finished. And that is why I believe history will remember this season long after the speeches fade, the headline change, not by what we promised under the bright lights, but what we built when it was hard. Because this administration chose to do hard things. It will judge us by what we protected, preserved, and demanded for our people when it would have been easier to put it off, kick the can down the road, save it for tomorrow. In that way, I can say with a clear conscience, we did not simply manage the moment, we changed the course. We changed the course when we moved recovery from paper to pavement, from renderings to projects. We changed the course when we refused to let energy remain a permanent excuse and started to turning our grid toward the future. We changed the course when we stopped accepting a government held together by good intentions and chose responsible planning over political comfort. This is what progress looks like. Not perfect, not instant, but real. You see, real progress lasts when it is rooted in something deeper than policy and projects. So before I give you my final charge, I want to name what has always been our greatest resource: us, our people. We are more than a destination on a map. We are the laughter in the festival village, the rhythm of the bambula drum that pulls you forward, the hymn that finds you when you need strength. We are the hands that fix what breaks, the elders who remind us that dignity and integrity are not negotiable, and the young people who keep surprising us with the brilliance and the resolve. Now, let me be frank. We have not done everything. There are plenty of goals unfinished, problems still up stubborn, and work still waiting. But we are not standing still, and we continue to raise the bar. I will always be grateful to the people who challenged us, pushed us, and held us accountable, because that is the way a democracy stays strong. So tonight, I leave you with this charge. Do not let cynicism become our culture. Do not let cynicism become our culture. They have told me many times that it could not be done, and we did it. Do not let quick outrage replace careful thought. Do not let the difficulty of change convince you that change is impossible. Progress is not a spectator sport. The next chapter of self-governance in these Virgin Islands will require citizens who vote with purpose, citizens who hold their leaders accountable without tearing down the whole house, and citizens who show up to build, because the work ahead is worthy work. So let those who do not understand our story say what they want. Let the storms come and go. Our anchor holds. It holds because of the work we have done as a people, together, united in pride and hope to change the course of these islands we call home. And here is what I know with every fiber in me, that if we hold our course, if we keep our faith strong and our standard high, then our best days are not behind us. They are certainly in front of us. God bless you, and God bless these beautiful Virgin Islands of the United States. Love you.